Hi, this is Britt from Riley B Graphics. I've made some Halloween backgrounds and I just wanted to show you how I've used them when I've added a subject in front of them. So this is image number 3. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so you fill the screen. It has got a painted texture and I did that on purpose. It's not meant to look like a photograph. I'm going to duplicate it just because I'm going to make changes to it and I always like to save the original. You can do that by pressing Command J on a Mac or Control J on Windows. Then this little girl, I've already removed the background from her. I'm going to make her a little bit smaller. Command T to transform, and then I'm going to click the check mark to place her. So I think the background needs to be blurred a little bit so that it doesn't look like she's on the same level, focal plane, distance-wise. So to start with, we're going to select the background layer. We're going to go Filter, down to Blur, Gaussian Blur, and depending how blurred you want your background, I'm going to do mine at about 3. So OK. And then the next thing I want to do is just change her coloring a little bit because, in my opinion, she looks a little bit too bright compared to this more muted background. So I have got Adobe Photoshop, the beta version, which is like a test version, which you can get from the Adobe Creative Cloud. You just have to download the app. But don't worry if you don't have it, because there are different ways of doing this. But if you do have it, I'm going to just show you what I do. So I'm going to duplicate her as well, just in case I don't like it. Just switch off the two we're not using. When I say switch off, you just click the little eye, so it turns off you can't see that layer. So you select her, then you'll go up to Filter, and in the beta version down to Neural Filters, and this has got all sorts of new different things here where you can blur your background. We're going to use harmonization, where we're going to try and match the colors. So all you're going to do is turn it on, and then it wants to know what you want to match her to. So you're going to go up here where it says Reference Image, Select a Layer. We only have these 2 layers underneath us, underneath the little girl, so we're going to click the one and you'll see it says Processing. So now it's matching the color of her to the background. So in my opinion, she's now a little bit washed out. So the only thing that's changed here is the strength. So we can turn it down. I've turned it down to about 60. It's processing again. And I think she looks a little bit better there. So we can say OK. Alright, so that I'm going to switch on the before. Turn off the after. That's before. That's after. If you think she looks too washed out, which I now do think she does, I'm just going to turn the opacity down a little bit. So that's before, that's after. So I think she looks fine like that. If you want to, you could kind of darken around her a little bit to make her stand out more. So you've got your original layer, just in case you don't like it. You can then take this burn tool, and I put it onto mid-tones and make the exposure like about 21 or so. Take a brush and make it bigger. And then what I'm going to do is just kind of paint around her. So all it's going to do is darken this layer behind her. So, whoops, it's going the wrong way. Come on, Z. I'm on the burn tool. I should be on burn, not on paintbrush. So there you can see what it's doing. It's like kind of darkening just around her to make her stand out a little bit more. I don't have to do this, of course. So I'm going to turn that off so you can see that's the original. Actually, this original wasn't blurred. Filter Gaussian blur. Okay, so that's before and that's after when I've burnt it. If you think it looks too solid or too dark, you can always turn the opacity down a little bit. But I mean, that step's completely optional. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. So that's the one way of doing it. That's with the beta version. So I'm going to delete all this and show you another way. Sorry, I'm just trying to delete this. I don't know why it doesn't want to delete. Delete, 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 delete. Oh my goodness. And save. Okay, so in this next one, okay, we're going to put a little girl with her whole body on. I'm going to move her down a little bit to make her a bit bigger. Okay, so she looks like she's floating, so she obviously needs a few shadows, and I think her coloring is too warm for this blue background. So I'm going to start by blurring the background, the same as we did before. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Okay, I think that's enough. And then I'm going to duplicate that just to save it. Okay, and then I'm going to duplicate her as well, in case I don't like what I do. Alright, so there's a couple of ways of making shadows underneath her. I'm going to just I've got another tutorial for the backdrops called Christmas Farm, using the Christmas Farm backdrops. And that one I go into more detail of painting shadows and drop shadows. So I'm just going, you can watch that as well. I'm just going to add a layer. I'm going to take a black paintbrush, make sure it's soft, put the opacity to about 50 or so. Okay, and then I'm just going to paint a little shadow around her feature. Just going to paint black. See, it won't paint on her because it's behind her. And then I'm going to switch that to multiply, and then I'm going to turn the opacity down. Okay, and then I'm going to make another layer, make my brush smaller, and I'm going to zoom in here. And I want to paint just underneath her shoes here, where there would be a darker shadow. And under the front of that shoe, because it's kind of lifting off the floor. Put that on to multiply. And then I'm going to zoom out. Just make it fit the screen. So that's her shadow. And then I'm going to show you a different way of changing color. So in my opinion, she needs to be a little bit more blue toned. So you can obviously go and do your hue saturation and make her a little bit more blue. Or you could try going down to the adjustment layer and going to color lookup. So in this one, and these names all look a little bit intimidating, but all you need to notice is this top one, the 3D LUT, and here you'll see all different kinds of coloring. So like crisp warm would make her more yellow. But what we want to do is only make it on her, not on the background. So we need to clip this layer into her only, because otherwise if we just do what we've just done, it'll affect everything underneath. That's why it's made the background more yellow as well. So to do that, we just right click and we say create clipping mask, and that will put this effect, the color lookup, only into the little girl. But we don't obviously want crisp warm because we're trying to make her more blue. So we could try moonlight. Okay, and then we will just change the opacity right down to 0. So that's how she started. And we can just bump it a little bit and make her a little bit more blue. Not too much, but maybe like 13%. So if I turn that off, that's before, that's after. Before, after. So you can decide if you like that or not. So that's one way of doing it. If you don't like that, you can delete that layer. And you can try putting like a blue tone over her. So I would pick a blue out of the background, go to your background layer, pick your eyedropper tool, which lets you select, and then maybe just click on a bluish grey tone you can see there. Okay, then just above your little girl, you're going to say solid color, and it's going to pick this new color as your solid color right over everything. Say okay, it's actually a little bit more green. I'm going to move it, slide it a bit more towards the blue. Say okay. Now we want it only to go on the little girl. At the moment it's covering everything. So we're going to do the clipping mask again. We're going to right click, say create clipping mask. See, now it's only on her. And to get it to change the color, the blending mode, we're going to click on this blue. We're going to go up here where it says normal, and we're going to click the drop down, and we're going to go down to color. Okay, so she's obviously very blue now, and then we'll just turn our opacity right down and then slowly bump it up, maybe like 20, 22. Let's just turn that off and see. So that's before, that's after. So she just looks like she blends in a little bit more. If you want to, you could add a little bit of a shadow just around here to darken. I would make another layer, the same as we did the shadows under her. Add a blank layer and make this black and white. So you'd hit D and then take a paintbrush, turn the flow down a bit, make the paintbrush bigger. I'm just going to paint a little bit. We're going to blend this, don't worry, it looks a bit solid. And maybe just a little bit around her body here. And then we are going to change that to multiply, and then we're going to turn it right down. That's off. And then just a little bit. So it just stands out a little bit from the background. To finish it off nicely, you could put a little bit of lighting around the edge of her hat. Maybe take like a whitey grey color and just do the edges of her hat. But if you also look at that Christmas farm tutorial, I did the same on somebody's hair with yellow from the fairy lights. So have a look at that one, and then you can see how to do that if you want to. So just to show you again, I'm going to turn these off. That's before. Let's turn the shadows off. That's before. That's after. That's with the blue tone. And just a few shadows. There you go. So if you've got any questions, just let me know. I'm happy to help. Thanks for watching. Bye.